Hey, how's it going everyone? Today we're going to talk about Starfield because things have just gotten worse. We will be talking about that here shortly, but also I will be talking about a few other things in today's video, such as the 15 changes coming next update, and not only that, but we're also going to be talking about a few glitches and bugs at the end that have just popped up. So with that being said, there is much to discuss, and let's go ahead and talk about it. Well, the future of Starfield is looking a bit grim right now, and I mean it's looking dark. There's really nothing too bright in the distance besides the DLC, and even so, it's quite worrisome then. There has been several bugs popping up left and right, and even after the latest patch, the new workbench bug has now just popped up out of the blue, and that currently stops you from using your workbenches. And with that being said, this is one of many bugs that have just surfaced in the latest Starfield update. Things have just gotten so bad that the reviews have really plummeted since then, and I mean, it's not looking positive, it's mostly looking negative. For example, if you take a look on the screen here, you can see that there's almost an endless amount of negative reviews that have just been sent in as of December 3rd. Now, as you're watching this, it's going to be December 4th, but I can guarantee you there's going to be even more reviews then. You might be thinking, how has things gotten this worse to where people are leaving negative reviews? It cannot just be bugs and glitches, right? It's gotta be those pesky PS fanboys over there leaving those nasty reviews. Well, it's not the case necessarily. If you happen to miss out on yesterday's video, then we went over this information right here that Phil Spencer had to say. Quote, in fact, Starfield has now had over 12 million players since the launch of Starfield, and it still sits in our top 10 most played games from our studios. End quote. So as you can tell right there, quite a few players have bought the game, but now they're leaving some nasty reviews. So now, why does everyone suddenly hate the game? This is a good question, and I can answer it. This can stem from many aspects, but mostly some would say it's the honeymoon phase, that they enjoyed it in the beginning, but then slowly they started realizing certain things just seemed a bit off, and yeah, some things are a bit off in this game. I'm not saying that it's the worst game out there, because it's not, but it definitely has its fair share of issues, and it definitely has quite a few problems right now. Which, by the way, this is why you see all these negative reviews, because it's all based on some of the bugs and glitches that have completely ruined some of these saves. Some have lost hours upon hours just because of one simple bug. For example, right now there's a game-breaking bug going around to where one planet will merge into another, pretty much making it impossible to land on that planet. Not to mention there's another bug going around to where you can lose all of your items at the Mercury penthouse. And just to give another example, there's a huge problem going around with cargo link issues. That's currently being looked into, so as you can tell, there's quite a few issues coming from this game as of right now. The worst problem so far has got to be the constant crashing on Xbox. What this can do is actually ruin your save entirely. So then when you go back on it, you'll get a message like this, for example. If your game has crashed enough, or possibly it might be the first time, then this can happen right here, where a message or a box will pop up saying, the save game is corrupt and cannot be loaded. This Reddit user named Leather Squirrel had came across this recently, and it's been going on for quite some time. What you can see right here at the top of the title is says, quote, will Bethesda ever patch this game from crashing so often? Listen, I like the game, it's fun as hell, but I have never played any single player game that crashes as much as Starfield does. Hell, I've never played a multiplayer game that crashes as much. I'm on Xbox, and every time I play it will crash no less than 3 times. Whether it's a screen freezing in a dialogue scene, hitting the pause button, and auto-saving, opening a loot chest, this game has several issues that Bethesda needs to fix. It froze on me today while auto-saving after I dashboarded and started to back up. It wouldn't load the game because the save file was corrupt. WTF. Fortunately, my previous save was from 5 minutes earlier, but what if it hadn't been? I would have been screwed. End quote. So yeah, absolutely you would have been done for. That probably would have ruined your time completely, to where you may have just uninstalled the game, which I wouldn't blame you. And that's the thing with Bethesda games, is that, well, you need to save often and frequently. So now with all these problems, it's actually gotten worse since the last beta patch. The developers recently confirmed a beta patch that would absolutely patch a huge exploit where you could pop up an infinite amount of guns through the chest. That no longer works. This right here has got to be the worst news ever by Bethesda, because they appear to want to fix exploits than to actually tackle some huge issues. There was nothing else else to that beta, so what's the point of releasing a beta patch if it's only going to fix 2 things? Now you might be thinking, what's the other thing that they fixed? I talked about it in a previous video, but I will bring it up here just for video purposes. They of course fixed the chest exploit, but they also did something good, and I will give them credit here. They fixed the problem with the asteroids. So if you had an asteroid that was attached to your ship, it will no longer be the case anymore. So in theory, when you do get the chance to download this patch, it should fix that problem right away. These are the only 2 things that they've actually fixed and talk about within the beta, and that's it. They did not release anything else with that patch. Pretty much what we got was just a fix for an exploit and a huge bug problem that was resolved as well. And to be honest, that's quite disappointing and probably the worst news ever by Bethesda. I feel like this time around we're going to receive another disappointing patch, and the reason why I say that is because the last one was 14 gigabytes. What they should have done is just focus on all of the issues collectively, grab them all together, and fix the problem. They didn't release a bigger patch. Instead, what we got recently in the last patch was a few fixes, and that was pretty much it. They only patched a few things, and then, well, they're like, here you go. So right now, the game is improving, but to be honest, I do not think it's in a good state as of right now with all the negative reviews and all the constant chatter about bugs and problems popping up. It definitely makes this game quite worrisome. With that being said, let's go ahead and talk about the top 10 biggest changes coming to the next patch, as well as some things that the developers are looking into. Now, some of this information I have went over previously, but I am doing it again so that you have an idea of what to expect in the next update. First and foremost, if you have been experiencing some issues with your ship and the lock-on time, it's going to be resolved. For example, the developers left this down below by saying, we are aware of an issue where the ship target lock time may become slower after maxing out the target control system skill. The issue will be resolved in a future update. This one might just be an annoying bug, so for me, it's a big one because I feel like the most annoying bugs are probably the biggest ones. Coming up at number 2, the next one is going to be the permanent phase time power. What can happen is essentially you'll be stuck in permanent slow motion. This is being looked into. For example, the developers left this at the bottom by saying, we are aware of an issue where players are having issues getting stuck infinitely using the phase time power, and are working towards a resolution. In the meantime, players can do the following to work around the issue. Pretty much what they're recommending is that you create a save and then load it back up, and that should fix the problem. Number 3, the next one is going to be the kiosk bug, to which it can disappear completely. The developer left this comment down below by saying, we are aware of an issue where kiosk may sometimes disappear from cities when switching/editing ships. While we work to resolve this issue, here are a few basic quest troubleshooting steps. Okay, so what they're recommending now is that you pretty much just reload a save from prior. I know that's like their typical saying, hey, if you have a save, just reload an older save, and sometimes you may not even have that available. Number 4, this next one I've also talked about in the past, but it's pretty much about re-encountering a legendary ship, and this is not possible as of right now, but it's going to be fixed in a future update. The developers left this at the bottom by commenting, we are aware of an issue where encountering legendary ship, leaving, and then returning to the location later will prevent the ship from reappearing. This will be resolved in a future update. Number 5, we are going to talk about starships connected to other starships. Now, this is interesting because you can connect other things to your ship on accident. The developers left this on the bottom by saying, we are aware of an issue that some players have ships stuck to their starships. This will be resolved in a future update. This bug right here is why you're missing so many textures over at New Atlantis. Because what's happening here is that when you have another starship connected to yours or a star station connected to your ship, and then you decide to land on this planet, then what you'll see on your screen is a huge star station on New Atlantis. And when you walk around, you're going to be able to go through the textures and whatnot. Yet get this, when you do decide to leave, it's going to completely remove the textures, or you may just bring New Atlantis with you up in space. Which, by the way, they are looking into that problem as well. So for example, right here, you can see that the question says, why are textures missing in New Atlantis? The developers left this at the bottom by saying, we are aware of an issue where geometry, interactable objects, and NPCs are disappearing from New Atlantis after changing your home ship on the dense space station. This issue is currently being investigated. Now, I would assume they have already fixed the problem, and the reason why I say this is because they have yet to update the post, and this is the same with the asteroid bug. But we all know that they have recently fixed that issue, so why is it not updated? Well, that's because they're still fixing a lot of things and they're updating these posts as they go along. Moving on towards the next question, which has to do with companions missing or if they're possibly stuck on top of your ship. For example, this developer left this down below by saying, "We are aware of an issue that causes crew members to disappear when changing your ship. In the meantime, make sure to save before changing your ship or temporarily remove your crew members to prevent this from occurring." This means Vasco will no longer be on top of your ship when this update does go live. The next question has to do with Mercury Tower Penthouse and how all the items are being removed out of nowhere, right? So what's the problem here? Is it going to be fixed? Is it going to be resolved? Yes, it will be, but they're looking into it. The main thing here is that if you do not complete high price to pay, you will see some of those items being removed. So what I recommend is that you complete high price to pay first, then you can continue on and just place your items where you want. Moving on towards the next question, which has to do with cargo link and the robot limit reset in New Game Plus. What's going on here is that you can see the question says, why has my cargo link and robot limit reset in New Game Plus despite maxing out the outpost management skill in my original playthrough? The developers then left this at the bottom by saying, "We are aware of an issue where the cargo link and robot limit for outpost management may be reset in New Game Plus, despite it being maxed out in the original playthrough. This issue is currently being investigated." So even though it says it's going to be investigated, I would assume this is another issue that's going to be resolved in the next update. They did it prior when they said they were investigating the asteroid bug, and what do you know, it's now fixed. So now I'm interested in what you guys have experienced so far in the latest beta patch. Also, let me know what you think about Starfield. Do you think it has a chance of redemption? If not, let me know down below. Let's go ahead and talk about it. So with all the information to the side, I want to give you guys a huge shout out. Thank you guys so much for supporting the channel. It means a lot to me. I'm going to continue saying that till I can no longer say it. I mean, literally, thank you guys so much. It means a lot to me. If you guys would like to support the channel, you can definitely click the thanks option down below underneath the video and make a donation. If you have any questions about the video or have anything that you want to say, comment down below. I will be answering the questions within the first hour or two. Thank you guys so much again for the support, and I'll see you all in the next video.